Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. Well, I'm sorry that I didn't get back to you sooner. I've been working just crazy hours over the last 2 days since I posted the video where I created this scenario. And the video wasn't about this scenario. The video was to show you the markers these markers down here. And I created this scenario to show you how these fuel gauge markers work, and because I needed a way to give away two sets of markers on behalf of Doug at Historical Board Gaming. So I created this little scenario, and if you've been watching my channel, you know that I like to make these little rules videos like scrambling and things like that. And people have been talking a lot about amphibious assaults lately, and that's why I decided to create one that involved an amphibious assault and that involved scrambling that the person wasn't expecting. Just because that's what people have been talking about. But it's clear from the responses that I got that people are getting it now. They're not as confused as they were, say, like 2 months ago when we started having these discussions. And they might have discussed it in the past, like years ago on that site. I don't know. I wasn't there, but just lately we've been discussing amphibious assaults in much greater detail, and people are really starting to understand, and I understand a whole lot more about amphibious assaults now. Since we started talking about it on AxisAndAllies.org. And that's the reason that I wanted you to go put your answer on AxisAndAllies.org too, is because that's the place where we exchange the ideas, and I knew that some people don't watch YouTube videos, and so they could get something out of that by reading the responses there. And I didn't get many responses, I think, because the responses that I got were good. They were really good responses, and people looked at those and thought, well, you know what, I can't expand upon that. Like that, those answers are right, and they posted those before I have, so there's no point in me writing all that out again. There was one response that disappeared though. It was Big E's, and he pointed out that this one here, because he started at an airbase, he went 1, 2, 3. Now he can still go 4. So good eye, Big E. Your response was good too, from what I remember. Like I only had a chance to just read it real quick, and then I had to go to work. You should have left it up there. You might have won. I don't know. I can't remember. So anyway, that should have been a 4, not a 3. So good eye there, Big E. Big E's a really good guy. I met him in Toronto at the Grasshopper Invitational. I really enjoyed the conversations that I had with him, and I got to talk with him quite a bit too. We met in the pub the night before the tournament began, and also we had lots of chance during the tournament to talk, and I can't wait to see him again someday. So anyway, let's get to this scenario. So the question that I had was. The question of the day was, what effect does this have? And the reason I asked that, and not just a simple rules question, like if it was just a matter of, okay, what happens with these subs now, I think everybody would have got that, because like I said, we've had a lot of discussions lately, and people know the rules, but it's understanding the rules, and it's creating a scenario, or it's creating a move that you need to take those rules and to use them to your advantage, or disadvantage. Like you need to know about the rules so that you don't get caught in a situation like this. And a lot of people are wondering, well, that's just a stupid move. Like, why would Japan have done this? And see, that's the thing. That's why I wanted to make this particular scenario, because it can happen, and it can happen to the best players in the world. And the reason is because you got to think, when you get to this point here, that you've been playing this game 8, maybe 12 hours already by the time you get to this point where Japan has an opportunity to win the game. So you're weary, you've been staring at a board all day and everything, and then you can see victory in sight. And so you just go in there and okay, let's just roll this and get it over with. But you can't do that. You have to, like what I do, or what I try to do, and I make mistakes. I've made this mistake before. What I try to do is, once I've done my combat moves, I ask myself, okay, what did I forget? Or how could this go wrong? What can happen now? And I look around. It's not just the one spot. Like, you got to look around to where all the other spots are as well, right? And if you're playing with a partner, that's great too, because I don't want them to make my moves for me, you know. But at the end, when I'm done my combat moves, or when I'm done my non-combat moves, I will ask my partner, did I forget anything? And you know, that's a good chance for them to take a look over there. Maybe they're engrossed on the other side of the board taking a look at their stuff, and they can take a look and say, oh, oh, you can't do that, dude. You got to do, you know, like you got to put more stuff in there, right? So I asked, what effect is this going to have on the Japanese turn by scrambling like that, and now with these two subs? So now these two subs have two choices. They can either decide to fight the Japanese boats, or they can submerge. Now these planes wouldn't have scrambled if these guys were going to submerge, right? I would take my payload and drop it on these guys if they decided to submerge. So that's obviously not what's going to happen. These guys are going to stay in the fight. Now also, you would have noticed that there was a destroyer down here, right? I didn't bring that destroyer because I was too excited. I was gonna win the game. I threw all my stuff in there. You know, I could have done it better, but I didn't. I wasn't thinking. I knew, like I was thinking, but I mean, I'm just saying, like it could have been that I wasn't thinking, and I just went ahead and just did this. So what's gonna happen now is that these guys, they get to shoot, and they roll at one, and they get to shoot before everybody else. And if they hit something, then that thing doesn't get to shoot back. And this thing is probably where you're going to take the first hits anyway, right? Like let's say you get one hit off it, then you're just going to tip that over, or you're going to use one of those handy dandy markers that I showed you, the damage marker, like this, and you put that on there, and then these guys are going to get to roll these two things. That's the only two things they get to roll, right? So they'll roll these two things, and then you'll roll your two fighters for the Americans, and then depending on what happens there, then they can decide to break off this attack. Like they can say, well, that wasn't too smart, was it? Okay, so we're gonna retreat now. If they don't do well. But you know what? If you hit with both of these and the Americans miss both fighters, then you keep going, right? I mean, why not? You could win the game. Like if as long as you can win this sea battle here, as long as you can take out the two submarines and take out the two fighters, then you're gonna is very likely you're gonna win the land battle. So if you can, you would keep going. Like even if it was I didn't lose any more and I hit him once, I think I'd still keep going, just because like you could win the game. But anyway, probably what's going to happen is you're going to have to retreat, and you're going to have to retreat in the direction that you came from. So either here, or they came from, I guess, right below there, because they came from here, didn't they? No, they came from the Marshall Islands, so I think they went this way. So you'd have to either retreat to Johnston Island sea zone there, number 30, or number 35, and so all of your boats would retreat there. Let's just do it here because it's easier. Your units would have to remain on the boats, and so you can't just retreat some one way and some the other way. And then these would stay in the sea zone here, and then your fighters would still have to have one round of combat against those dudes in there. These fighters wouldn't take part in it because they scrambled, right? But your fighters would still have to do one round of combat, and then they would fly away. Now, you would want to take your hits. You're probably going to get hit at least once and probably twice, at least twice from those. So you would want to take these off because these can only go one space. And because you had to retreat, you've got no carrier there now. And even if you did, it's damaged. So these guys would die anyway. So you might as well lose these guys as casualties. Then these guys, what I would do is I would move these down here, move both of those down, and consolidate the Navy down there. That would be the best thing to do if you had to retreat. If not, though, if Japan had managed to win this battle in the sea zone here, which is unlikely, like the likely scenario is that they would not, then you would go through with the amphibious assault. You've got 6 ground units, you've got all these planes, and all they have is the 8 dudes, and you would probably win that fight, because you have 1 at 1 4 at 2, 4 at 3, and 4 at 4, and all they have is 8 at 2. So it's highly likely that you would win that fight. So what should you have done? Like if you were thinking straight, it wouldn't have taken much. Now you could have just left one of these planes in the zone here, right? But I wouldn't want to do that. I would still want to go ahead with that big attack there. You could have brought in your destroyer here, right? The destroyer could have come in. These guys could have come in. Like you're thinking, okay, well, you know, the Americans could hit you, right? Well, it doesn't matter. Like even if they had 10 of these things sitting there, it doesn't matter because there are no American transports there. And if this is going to be the last turn, like if you take this out and you put your pie on here, then you're going to win the game because there are no transports to take it back. And I'm assuming that you couldn't take any of this back. And I didn't move any of this stuff. This stuff is sitting in the. I'm sorry if I threw you off by that. That stuff is all sitting in the opening setup. That wasn't to be important in this video. This was the important part over here in the last video. Sorry. So I'm assuming that nobody's going to be able to take back any of those victory cities on your turn here or before your next turn, and it's just this city that's in question. So it doesn't matter what how many boats that the Americans have up there. They can come down here and wipe out your entire Japanese Navy and all those planes and everything. That doesn't matter whatsoever. All that matters is they can't take Honolulu back, and so you have to go a round of play, and so the Americans and nobody else can land on Hawaii. That means that you might as well quit the game after you're finished rolling this battle. It's like saying checkmate, you know, you can't, there's nothing you can do to win this game. I've already won it. And so that's how they should have played it, is by putting those in there. Because if you put those in there, there's no point in scrambling anymore, right? With the destroyer there, these guys aren't going to get their surprise strike. And with these extra 4 hits in here, these guys, they're going to get all kinds of dice. And the destroyer there as well, he's also taking shots now. So there's no point in scrambling the American fighters at that point. And really, I mean, if the Japanese player was thinking and they weren't too excited and they were being more methodical in their play, and they would have done it this way, then it's a 99% chance they would have won this game. And it's important that you think about this because, you know, like it could be that Europe is about to fall, right? And the Americans are about to take Berlin and get a whole bunch of money. So bang, a whole bunch of stuff gets put on the Western United States. This could be your last chance to take out 6 victory cities. And I've seen a game like this online. Brian Wassam on his channel, he had a great one where it looked like for sure that the Allies were going to win the game. They were all over the Germans and the Italians, and they were about to surrender, and then all of a sudden they realized, oh geez, all I need to do is take Hawaii. And they did. They went over and took Hawaii, and the Americans had no way of taking it back, and it was a surprise win for them. And so this could be a surprise win too. That's why you have to bear down. You have to make sure that you do it properly, you know. And what I really loved about the responses and why I wanted to do it that way is so that other people could see those responses too, and see how you process things in your mind. You don't just calculate, okay, I've got this many boats against that many boats, and that's the odds. Like, you have to think of everything. You have to think of what America's got left. You have to think of the different scenarios. Could they scramble? If they scramble, then those subs will be in there. Do I have enough in that scenario, right? How do I wait? You know, can I put a couple of planes in here instead of carriers in the sea zone? Like, how is that going to affect it? So you need to consider all of these things, and you need to be creative when playing this game. This is only one attack. It could be that you have a whole bunch of attacks, and so you need to consider each of them in the same way, right? All the different scenarios that could happen with that, and all the different ways that your opponent can try to get you after that move is done, right? So anyway, we have 2 winners. Calvin and Hobbs Liker was the first winner, and I just want to say that there were no wrong answers. The other answers that I got were correct, but as I stated, you have to be complete with your answer. And I was looking for the type of answer that Calvin and Hobbs Liker and Legacy 1912 is the second place winner. Those were the answers that I was looking for. Although I didn't quite agree with Calvin and Legacy's analysis. It was clear that he had it right. It's just that I wouldn't have done it the same way. Like he was saying that you would want to lose the fighters before you lost the subs, and that's just not the right thing that I would do anyway. Because the subs defend at 1, the fighters defend at 4. Like obviously you got to lose the subs, because if you lose that battle, you lose the game. Because it's almost certain that that the land battle will go in favor of the Japanese if it got that far. So you got to take the subs off rather than the planes. But he did. I think he was the one that noticed that the destroyer was left in Caroline Islands, and I did that on purpose. I put that destroyer there, and I wanted people to notice that, like even if you just taken that destroyer in there, that would have tipped the balance in the sea zone, even without all those carriers. I think I still would have scrambled the planes in that case, because I think you had a better chance of beating those boats than you did of beating the land. So anyway, this is your prize over here, Calvin and Hobbs Liker. You've got these awesome fuel gauge markers from Historical Board Gaming, and the convoy markers, and the damage tokens, and 10 naval bases and 10 air bases. So good for you. And Legacy 1912. First of all, let me welcome you to accessandallies.org. That was another reason why I did that. I thought maybe there are some viewers that I should encourage to join accessandallies.org, and you join just so you can answer this question. And I say welcome. I hope to see you lots more on there, and I think you'll probably get lots out of it, just like I have over the past. I don't know how long I've been there, year and a half, I don't know, but I've certainly become a better player by reading some of the posts from some of the great players in the world, and posing questions myself, trying to figure this game out. So you've got the fuel gauge markers, and you've got 5 naval bases and 5 air bases. So what I need you to do is just send me a personal message on accessandallies.org. I'm going to need your name and your mailing address. I need your full name, because the way things are in our world today, they don't let you mail stuff across borders without your names on there. Like I can't just put Calvin and Hobbs Liker on there. That's going to flag somebody at Homeland Security or whatever country you're in, right? So don't worry though. I've exchanged mail with lots of other people on there, so you don't have to worry. I'm not going to give your personal information to anybody at all. It's just for me to send you this stuff. Anyway, so thank you for playing. Thanks for everybody for playing, and go get yourself a set of these markers and a set of these. Oh, there's one more thing. I didn't mention it before, because we just before I started this video was the last email. I've probably got another one since I started. I turn my phone off when I do these things. Just so I don't get like ding noise coming through on the video, right? These complexes here. Now these are painted ones from Shapeways, right? I painted these myself. These are Historical Board Gaming, but you see that came in white, right? Well, I am pleased to tell you that there are going to be complexes, sets of complexes. Like you seen this, we had a set of things for Global 40. Well, Doug and I have come up with a set of complexes. Now, you're not going to get these ones. You're not going to get the Shapeways ones, but they're going to be exactly the same. It's just that they're not going to be like they're going to be molded plastic. They're going to look exactly like these ones here. So this is the British, and they're going to come in the colors that your country is in. And so I've come up with a number, and I've given him the number that he needs. Like you're going to get 2 of these and 5 of these for the British. You're going to get 1 of these, and I think I said 4 of these for the Italians. And you're going to get in total 49 complexes, majors and minors, and you should have enough. Like I don't see you ever needing to put more on or needing more. And the price that he, like if you were to buy them individually, they're going to be for sale soon on his site. If individually, I think it would be just about $32, but he's going to put together a set for Global 40 of all the complexes in all the nation's colors. You know, like the Anzac ones will be in gray, the American ones, there will be 3 majors and 6 minors. They will be in green. They're going to all be in the correct colors, and they're going to be $24.95. So that's going to be awesome. And he thinks 2 weeks at the latest. So you might even be able to get those for Christmas if you live close enough. If you live in someplace other than the States, then maybe not, because like I know getting an order from them from here, usually it sits at the border for a week. It takes less than a week to ship them here, but they spend sometimes more than a week, 10 days sometimes, sitting at the border. I think those guys are playing with my pieces. Those guys, the border agents there, they're just sitting there playing with my stuff. But anyway, so look for complexes coming soon. And there are a couple other things that we talked about too, but they're still a ways off. But I'm happy to say that these complexes are going to be here within the next 2 weeks. And so if you get yourself a set of these, a set of these, a set of these, and then a set of complexes, man, then you're all set. All you need is a set of the battle dice that the Grasshoppers got coming out or something, or maybe a set of Sired Blood's battle dice. Hit dice, I think he calls his. So anyway, thanks for playing, everybody. Congratulations, Calvin and Hobbs Leiker and Legacy 1912. Take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.